Let's see if I can move it for an inch without. Oh, I already spilled it. Oh, I'm fired. Rocco DiSpirito here, host of Downtown Alliance's Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home Edition. The Alliance is the business improvement district for Lower Manhattan. Included among the many promotional programs we sponsor, these virtual cooking demonstrations, showcasing Lower Manhattan's restaurants and chefs. This special holiday episode will feature executive pastry chef Emily Hall of SAGA, a 2 Michelin-starred restaurant, who will share the recipes for 2 of her signature holiday desserts, Quince Cruller and sweet potato custard tart. So follow me as we head up to the 63rd floor of 70 Pine Street, Lower Manhattan's iconic Art Deco building that houses SAGA, Overstory, and Crown Shy, where we'll meet Chef Emily and learn how to create these holiday desserts that are sure to wow your guests. Emily Hall, how are you? Rocco DiSpirito, thanks for welcoming me into your beautiful restaurant.
Of course, thank you for being here.
I appreciate the little extra solarium effect. I need a little sun. So, yeah.
So do I.
Can we look at this view for a second?
It's amazing.
That is amazing. This is not green screen, everybody. This is real. How do you get any work done?
It's hard.
There's a lot of distraction.
And it never gets old. It never gets old. It's still breathtaking.
And a lot of work is basically the name of your job, right? You're the pastry chef of 3 restaurants?
Yes.
What's that like?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of work, but we have a lot of fun. We have a really great team, so I'm very blessed. So we have 10 in pastry.
Whoa, 10 pastry. So most restaurants have 1 pastry if they're lucky, and you have 10. So that's pretty amazing. Wow, good. And you've been here ever since the opening of SAGA. We were here not too long ago with Chef Kent. And we shot some beautiful footage with him, and we were here in this space before it was even built.
Right.
So you were probably downstairs in the kitchen working on dishes.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So were you always a pastry person, or were you ever like a regular chef person?
I did dabble in a little bit of savory.
You decided not for me?
I did a little bit. I was like kind of doing both roles at 2 different restaurants. But yeah, I went back to my roots of pastry.
I mean, it's a pretty hard line between the two. It remains a hard line. Very few people who can do both. So.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, the difference?
I think the technicality of pastry is like not for everyone. You know, it's like extremely precise and there's a lot of patience in pastry.
Yes.
So if you like mess something up, you have to start all over again. Like savory, you can kind of tweak things as you go.
What are we making today? I can't wait to see what's in the
so we're gonna make 2 different things. The SAGA dessert right now is 5 miniature desserts based off 3 core ingredients of birch, sweet potato, and quince. Today we're gonna make 2 of the 5. We're gonna make the sweet potato custard tart and the quince cruller. So we're gonna make the tart dough first, right? That's gonna be the base. That is a vanilla bean.
Okay.
So we're gonna add that into our dough.
That's pretty cool. Real vanilla bean.
Real vanilla bean.
Ooh, smells so good. You guys can do this at home. It's it's pretty easy, right? You can get a vanilla bean anywhere these days.
For sure.
You want me to cut it in half and scrape the seeds?
Yep. So we have our butter and our 10x sugar.
This is probably the best way to get the most vanilla flavor out of a pot of vanilla, right?
Yeah, I'm very much a purist when it comes to vanilla. I like the real deal, but vanilla extract also does the trick.
And then we use this for sugar, making vanilla sugar, or?
We use it for a lot of infusions, so purees.
So don't throw that away?
Yeah, we save those for sure.
Beautiful.
Our butter is at room temp. It's not totally soft, but not completely hard. I'm gonna have you crack the egg. So we don't want to over cream the butter because you're just gonna add air, which that'll cause the shell to shrink, obviously.
Cool. That's a great tip,
We don't want that to happen.
So we're not trying to build any air into it, we're just trying to melt the sugar into the butter, basically.
Yeah,
does the sugar actually melt?
Yeah, because it's 10x, it totally dissolves. So this looks good, this is nice and creamed.
Cool.
So we're gonna
Eggs are cracked, chef?
1 egg. At a time, so we don't split our butter. And then if you would like to zest orange, I like to add like different things to my tart dough, like orange and vanilla, to give it like a burst of flavor instead of it just being sugar. You can see it's starting to split a little bit.
Yes.
So my trick for everyone is to add a little bit of your flour.
Now when you say split, do you mean breaking?
It's just like solidifying the butter because the egg was cold. And then at this point, we can add all of our flour.
This is so much technical skill and chemistry, and I'm already tired. You know,
a lot of like experience, like knowing when things go wrong, what to do.
For sure.
And
if we were making a savory dish, I would have already plated 15 dishes. We would have been done on to
you
the
would have
next
been
one.
out of here. And
Look,
then
you can see the vanilla. That's how you know you're getting your money's worth.
that's the real deal. And again, you just want to mix this just until it comes together.
Okay.
Like we don't want to develop a lot of gluten.
Right.
Again, that causes the shrinking of the tart. So yeah, we're gonna take this
Beautiful.
dough
All right, yeah.
and we need it to chill
Okay.
for about an hour. So we'll put it in the fridge, get
All
it
right.
wrapped up, and then we can roll it out. So we have our dough that we've chilled for at least an hour. This one I've let chilled overnight just to let our gluten fully relax. So we obviously have a dough sheeter downstairs, but there's nothing wrong with actually rolling the dough yourself. And you can see our vanilla, even like these little like bigger chunks of vanilla.
Yes.
I don't mind it. Pure flavor. You just want
Beautiful.
this
Wow.
nice and thin.
Notice not a lot of flour here.
Not a
Very
lot of
clean
flour.
board.
Yes.
Most people at home are like covered in flour by now.
And then we want to let this chill again because you can feel it.
Yeah.
It's quite soft. So we're going to pop this back into the freezer just for a couple minutes to get it nice and cold.
Got it.
And then we'll line our tart shell.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have our dough that we've chilled.
Yeah, cold, it's firm, it doesn't feel like it's melting anymore.
And we just want to give it a trim.
So definitely pro tip for home cooks, cold is absolutely essential. It's not just a preference.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
really
work unless it's cold.
challenging
Right,
to work
yeah.
with it really soft.
And you don't have to line this. This is a non-stick surface
This is a
already.
non-stick,
Got it.
yep. And if it's a little too cold, I just like to like roll it in my hands, warm it
Right.
up a little bit.
It's easy to warm up, very difficult to keep cold.
Yeah, exactly. You can reuse this dough. I would say like rolling it one more time is okay. All right, so this feels good. It's nice and pliable. So we're gonna just put it in the tart, and then I like to start in the middle, and I'm kind of pushing my sides in.
You make it look so easy.
I know.
That's a lot harder than she made it look, just FYI, but you should still try it at home.
So now it's nice.
That is amazing.
It's like that.
Beautiful,
And then we're just
wow.
gonna push our sides in.
Yeah.
I'm also pushing down a little
Okay.
bit so it lines perfectly. We get that nice edge. And you don't want to push too hard, obviously
Okay.
it'll like punch through. Then we are gonna trim it. I like to use a small offset, but honestly anything works. And you're just gonna
Ooh,
trim it off.
very cool.
Just like that.
That's cool. Very cool.
And if you had any spots like that are poking
Yeah.
through, this one doesn't, but you
Okay.
can just take a little bit of your
Okay.
dough and patch it up. So again, we're gonna put this back in the freezer.
Okay.
We want it totally frozen before we bake it.
Okay.
And then we're gonna bake it at 325 for about 20 minutes.
Is that the infamous blind bake?
Yes,
Is that what you're talking
that
about?
is the blind bake.
The blind bake, everybody.
We are doing the blind bake. I personally put a piece of plastic wrap inside. I fill it with dried beans.
Okay.
You can use rice, you can use whatever.
To weight it down
To
and make
weight
sure.
it down.
All right, look at how dark this is. It's baked hard, you'd say, right?
Yeah.
And this is why custard doesn't dissolve the dough later on, I think. This is why,
Yep. It's crucial to do a nice dark bake for a custard tart.
Sort of seals it, right?
Exactly. So then when you add the liquid custard, it won't absorb that. It'll just
and it can sit in the fridge for a couple of days and it still won't absorb. It'll still be intact. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So we're gonna make the custard filling for this.
Cool.
So this is milk.
Milk, all right. We're using an induction cooker, of course, set pretty low probably.
And then cream. So yeah, we have the milk and the cream warming. We're gonna add the vanilla bean straight into that. In the bowl we have egg yolks, not whole eggs. Sugar's gonna go in the yolk.
Okay.
So we're gonna add this in here.
This is how you make any custard, right?
Yes, this is how you make a base for an ice cream. And we're also not gonna cook this as far as you would a normal custard. We don't want it fully cooked because it's gonna cook in the oven. In the meantime, I add a sweet potato jam to the bottom. Sweet potato jam is basically, we roast sweet potatoes, we take that, add like a ton of honey, and just cook that for hours and hours and hours, and it becomes this like dark colored.
Amazing.
We season it with salt and
Give me
acid.
a little bump right there. Ah.
A little orange juice.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're doing it at home, like you could always buy pre-made like pumpkin puree or season it yourself. You know, you don't have to go through. This takes like hours and hours and hours. So it's like a little hit of acid for the dessert. So I just like pour some in, and then we just want to smooth it out. It's just basically to coat the bottom. It's going to give it that pop of salt and acid that it needs, because the custard is just like pure vanilla, like.
And this is how chefs think. How can I layer more experiences into the dish? How can I provide a little surprise?
Okay, that's looking perfect.
It is? Okay,
yep.
Great. All right.
So we're gonna temper that into our yolks. So you don't wanna add this into here, right? You could scramble it and then you would have to start over.
Then you'd have a very sweet breakfast porridge.
Basically, you're just gonna slowly add the hot cream and milk in. So you're just bringing the yolks to a warm temperature. That's what we're doing so they don't scramble. And then that's all gonna go back in.
Okay. So I see the little bit of steam that you were talking about earlier.
Yep,
It's a tiny bit of steam, it's not a lot.
We're just gonna cook this a little bit. We don't want it like full nappe, which nappe is, you know, like a fully cooked, where you can take your spoon and go like that and then it won't fall.
Don't want that, you want to be under that? Okay.
Yeah, and we don't use the whisk because we would be adding air to this.
Right.
We want this nice and perfect,
dense.
No bubbles.
Do you ever use a thermometer to understand where to stop here?
Yes, I do. So the temperature we're looking for is 151.
151, write it down.
Fahrenheit. I just
152 is too much, 150 is too little.
Too much,
yeah. It is that precise though in your world, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
As precise as that can be, I just like to I like to do it. So.
But you do it all by feel.
Yeah, I mean I've done this. Yeah, you can see it's like slightly thickened, but it's not full on.
I see a little bit of steam, a little vapor.
So we're gonna add the custard directly into our tart. If I was doing this at home, I would put this on a tray, put it in the oven, and have it slightly
good tip.
pulled out.
In the oven. I bet no one at home would think of that.
You would pull out your like oven tray, and then add it into that, because otherwise you're gonna be like
That's a great tip.
I forgot one very important thing: salt.
Okay. Oh, salt. Yeah, we can add that now, right?
We like everything seasoned.
Nice and salty. Do you have a favorite salt?
Kosher. Kosher salt.
To this day, the questions about the salt and olive oil are, you know, the most asked questions.
We're just gonna add this in.
Cool.
Directly. I feel like to some people this is terrifying.
This is terrifying to me right now. So, and then you're here and I'm terrified.
Right into the tart shell.
Yeah. You need a leap of faith at this moment.
When I put this on the menu, I feel like a couple of my cooks thought I was like insane.
They start writing the resignation letters.
And I was like, don't worry guys.
I'll get you through this. I'll get you through this.
So you can see like we brought it up almost to the top.
Right.
So again, if you're in the oven, you have the tray pulled out, this is like way easier.
I love that. That's so smart. Probably one of the best tips we've ever given.
And we're gonna pop those bubbles. So we have our blowtorch.
Oh, those are the bubbles you're talking about? These little tiny ones?
Well, there was like
it's like a foam
bigger
almost.
ones.
Yeah, okay.
If you have nutmeg at home, I like to use whole nutmeg. And I'm gonna grate this over the entire top of it.
I'm such a fan of nutmeg in everything.
I love nutmeg, especially like the holidays. It's
true,
like,
yes.
The smell is just...
Oh, you're not messing around with the nutmeg, huh?
Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared of the nutmeg.
Wow. So this goes in the oven, very carefully.
Goes in the oven, 300 degrees for about 20 minutes until
and we have an oven under here.
Set.
Let's see if I can move it for an inch without... Oh, I already spilt it. Oh, I'm fired. Done.
So this baked for about 20 minutes at 300 degrees. And then we want to let this completely cool so your custard sets. And then we're going to unmold it, cut it, and we're going to brulee it.
300 is much less than I imagine most people were expecting. Why is that?
If you cook it too high, the custard will completely scramble.
Separate, right.
Yeah, so we want it nice and low and slow. So the custard just sets perfectly. So we're going to pop this out. You just release it from the bottom here.
How that works?
I like to use a serrated knife.
Yes,
I like it.
So smart. Oh, look at that. That is literally perfect.
So for our dessert, we cut this size into 16 pieces.
Okay.
I would say for home, you would want a bigger piece than that. So we just cover the top in sugar. And then one other pro tip, you have the shell facing you, so you don't burn the shell. So.
And how about just buying this setup right here is another pro tip.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy this at the hardware store.
Beautiful. Cool.
Should we try it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. That nutmeg pays off.
It's not as strong as you think it would be.
The little crispiness of the sugar, the beautiful soft texture of the custard, and then that tart shell.
Cool. We're gonna move on to the cruller now.
This is only 1/5 of one dessert, so we gotta keep going.
Okay, so next we're gonna make the cruller. This is milk, water, butter, and a little bit of sugar. And we're gonna get it warmed up. So this is basically a pâte à choux, which is like a cream puff.
Yeah, cream puff, right, puff dough.
Something a little different about this recipe, we use bread flour instead of all-purpose flour because it holds the structure. So when we pipe
more gluten.
our cute little donuts, we want it to hold all the little lines, and the bread flour helps with that. So this you want full, not like a boil, but we want it hot. So this is looking pretty good here. We have lots of steam, our butter is melted. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Mix this in.
This is the hard part. So, how aggressive should I be?
That's
good? That's perfect
yeah,
level of force?
Get all the lumps out.
Oh, get them, okay.
And we're gonna cook this for about 2 minutes. You're gonna see at the bottom of the pan, it's gonna start to stick a little bit. There's gonna be like a coating of the dough on the bottom. And that's when we know our dough is ready. Everything looks good. No lumps, no clumps of flour.
So far, no lumps.
Yep, so it's starting to stick a little bit.
I see that.
So we plop that in there. Perfect. You want to cool it down a bit before we add the eggs. So if you add it when it's hot, you'll scramble the eggs. So we'll get that cooling.
Most baked goods are leavened by a chemical, right?
Right.
Like baking soda, baking powder, yeast, which is not really chemical, but it's a leavening agent.
Right.
This is leavened by the water and the egg whites.
And the air that we're
And the air, right.
Yeah.
So when the water and the egg whites bakes, it turns into steam vapor and it pushes everything up.
Yeah.
And the gluten structure maintains the shape because it solidifies. That's some cool stuff right there, man.
That is a lot of
I'm getting goosebumps now.
So we're still pretty hot here.
Need a little patience for this.
Add our eggs.
And we're adding them one at a time in order to not change the temperature too much.
Or
not
split
cook
the dough.
Or split the dough or cook the eggs.
Yeah,
It's a bunch of bad things that could happen.
If you add too much liquid at once, it'll just separate.
The color and the texture of the dough has totally changed. It looks like a batter now.
Scrape this down.
Ooh.
I just use another pro
tip right there.
So we would just take this and put it into our pastry bag.
Another pro tip, pastry bag in the pint container, quart container.
Yep. We're gonna put this in the fridge for 1 hour and then fry them off.
All right, cool, very cool.
Our dough has rested.
Okay.
Our oil
is now hot. What kind of oil are we using?
We are using canola oil. We want the oil at 370.
Okay, so if it's too low, what happens?
It'll just absorb the oil and
it
be
won't.
Like absolutely disgusting, honestly. It's like a sponge. It just like soaks up the oil.
It won't inflate, it won't leaven, it won't rise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the most important thing,
We have little pieces of parchment paper we want to pipe directly on.
Okay.
So for SAGA, we do this really fun shape.
Cool.
You could do any shape. You could do a circle, you could do a big donut. How I pipe, I like squeeze off a little bit at the bottom, right? I'm not like up here where I have no control and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? So I just squeeze this here and then I'm holding it at an angle. I'm just dragging it along.
Again, you make it look super easy.
Do you want to try?
No.
No?
I'm here to learn.
You're here? Yeah, okay. We're gonna pop these in the dough side down.
Oh, look at that.
They go
with
right
the paper attached.
Yes. We have our tweezers, you can use tongs. We don't want to hurt ourselves. Obviously, this is very hot oil.
You know, visual inspection, this is working perfectly, right? We have bubbles, nothing's burning. Oh, look at how pretty. Wow.
So that's the bread flour that's holding all of our lines
for us. Look at that.
Keeping everything intact.
And then you're waiting for it to release on its own, sort of, right? I see you doing that.
Sometimes it releases, sometimes you have to give it a little hand. That one just came off.
Obviously, if you're doing this at home, keep kids far away.
Oh yeah, very.
This is a pot of hot oil, guys, all right?
370 degrees. And I like to wait until I fry the donuts to pick up the papers, again, just so I don't get hurt. At the bottom, you can see how puffy it is.
They are perfect.
So I just pick up the papers. I like to put everything on a rack so any oil drips off.
Sure.
So I dip them in a cinnamon sugar mixture. But I add quince powder to it. So this is our quince powder. You can buy it on Amazon. That's where we buy it. It adds a little zing. I also season this with citric acid and salt. So it's not just pure sugar. So it's sugar, cinnamon, quince powder.
Citric acid will give it some of that sour flavor that we're looking for. It's also a great preservative. Can we talk for a minute about quince?
Yeah, of course.
Quince is like, it's not the apple, it's not a pear, it's a fall fruit. You have to
really
cook it to eat it, right?
Because you can cook quince 2 different ways. You can do it low and slow, where they turn like pink. And that's what we do. We cook it in a syrup for about an hour. It turns like bright pink, even though the flesh is white. Or you can cook it hard, and it turns this like dark, rich color. So they're really cool, and they're totally different flavors. I think they're like a really interesting
Yeah, I think they're one of the best fall fruits. Most people are afraid. I understand.
Yeah, they're definitely...
If you take a bite out of a raw one, you'll regret it. So yeah.
Regret it majorly, yeah. So those are for us. So we've dipped them in.
So beautiful. They're beautiful. Can we eat those? Those look too beautiful to eat.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Let's do it.
All right.
All of our hard work.
Cheers. Oh, so light.
Yeah, so they're super
so
fluffy.
Much flavor.
You get the acid from the quince.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Salt, the acid really pay off here.
Yeah.
And it tastes like a quince product.
Yeah.
Just that little bit of powder really gave it the quince personality.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chef. So good. Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome. My name is Emily Hall, and I'm the executive pastry chef of Crown Chai, SAGA, and Overstory. So SAGA is a tasting menu restaurant that is modern New York. Our menu is very influenced by our team. Our team is from all around the world, and we all put our mark on the menu to create a unique dining experience unlike any other fine dining restaurant in New York. Using really tasty ingredients and simple technique to not overcomplicate desserts, focusing on seasoning and creating a unique experience for the guest. My best advice for a young chef is to find somewhere that you're really passionate about working, so you can learn from the chef, work hard, pick their brain, and stay focused. My favorite season, I think, is actually fall. I like the darker flavors, a lot of spice, warm things. It's very comforting. People need to know a lot about pastry chefs. We are a whole different breed. We are super technical. I would say it's a craft that not everyone can master, very precise, and it's an important part of the dining experience, and people should put an emphasis on their pastry departments more often than not. I meal prep, so I make a big pot of soup, a big pot of chili, some chicken. I try to eat as healthy as I can. Luckily, I have a boyfriend that cooks for me. My role models coming up in my career, I feel like, were the chefs that I worked for. Angela Pinkerton at 11 Madison Park was just such a badass, and I just looked up to her as the goal of what I wanted to be. I wanted to be this badass chef. And I was lucky enough to work with a lot of really talented chefs in my career, and I just try to absorb their different personalities and their ethos on food to create my own style. What separates a good from a great pastry chef is being a leader for the team. You rely entirely on your team. I could never do this alone, and so I want to give back to my team what they give to me every day. And then also just focusing on seasoning. I feel like a lot of pastry chefs just focus on sugar, but there's so much more of salt and acid that are super important. I think that's what can separate a really good dessert to a really amazing dessert. I want guests to know all of the detail that goes into the food. It's not just creating the dish. For me, it's creating a whole experience, a personalized experience. I personally draw the card for the guest, and I personally pick out the plateware, and I work with a woodworker to make custom pieces, and it's not just about the food, it's the whole experience, and I like to touch every single part of it to give it my own personal touch. Yeah, so Cookies for Kids Cancer is really important to us here. It was Chef James's favorite charity. He loved doing the event every year. So I like to carry that on, and this year, I made my famous chocolate chip cookie for the cookie jar, and yeah, it's just a super great organization, and it's really important to the Kent hospitality family. I think James Kent was someone like any other chef. He put such an importance on pastry and let us all shine in our pastry roles, and he knew the value of what a pastry chef brought to a restaurant, and I think unlike anyone else I've ever seen in this industry, and he knew the importance of what that gave to the restaurant and how to spotlight us and give us our platform to shine and do what we wanted, and he just always believed in us and let us fly our wings and do what we wanted to do.
So this is the full Holy Trinity times 2.
This is the 5 desserts. So this card here, I hand drew each of the little desserts. So it tells us which way we're gonna go.
Okay, got it. Mm-hmm.
And then it connects by the ingredients. So the birch, the sweet potato, and the quince. We're gonna have our cruller that we made. Okay. We have our the cinnamon sugar on top. There's a little bit of quince puree, and then micro anise hyssop.
Okay, all at once as well?
Yeah. Very light.
Wow.
Nothing crazy.
Well, I love when the anise and the hyssop and the quince paste kicks in.
Yeah.
Wow, it's such a nice little surprise.
And then
delicious.
We have our sweet potato tart.
So that's a piece of marshmallow or meringue, you said? That you
we
piped out flat, or?
We spread meringue onto a tray, dehydrate it.
Oh.
So then it's like super crispy, and you can when you torch it, you can then shape it into like a fun little crinkle.
The bitterness of the marshmallow is a nice foil to the sweetness of the tart.
Yeah.
All right, Chef Emily, thank you so much. This was wonderful.
You.
I appreciate you showing me all your tips and tricks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anytime.
I like your piping technique. There's so many good things going on in this kitchen. I don't know how you do it all. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home Edition. And thank you, Chef Emily. Thank you, SAGA and the entire Ken Hospitality Group. The food here, the ambience, and the views are amazing, as you can see. So plan ahead for your special meal. Go on to Resy and make that reservation. There's an anniversary or birthday coming up. This would be the perfect place. Be on the lookout for Dine Around Downtown Cooking at Home winter episode in March. Check our website for updates, events, and news as it breaks. And follow us at Downtown NYC on Instagram and Twitter. By the way, if you want to brush up on your culinary skills and recipe repertoire, you can watch all of our previous episodes at downtowny.com/dinearound. Happy cooking!